G'day guys, it's coffee time on My Blue Heaven, which means it's preview time on My Blue Heaven. I'm here to take a close look at our round 6 clash against the undefeated GWS Giants. This game to be played on our home deck. Second game in a row we've had a home game at Marvel Stadium at exactly the same time. A twilight game, which doesn't really matter at Marvel. The roof is closed, so as I mentioned last week, could be 6:30 in the morning or 11 o'clock at night. The conditions are always the same at that ground. I feel like the way the Giants play, they are not afraid to travel. One, they had an exceptional travelling record last week, and I feel like this won't be a concern for them. And I also feel like the fast deck of Marvel Stadium and how the conditions in that ground, given that they are a very sort of fleet of foot and skillful football team, that this type of ground wouldn't concern them at all. And our record's been okay against them over the last couple of years, particularly over there. I mean, when we played them, I think the last 2 times we've won at, is it still called Giant Stadium? Who cares? I'm calling it Giant Stadium. We've had a couple of really close type wins, but they came to our ground last year in, the final game of the home and away season, and they blew us away by 32 points. There was a train of thought that we put the queue in the rack. It was a bit of a dead rubber, but I don't know about that. I just felt that we were slightly off in that game, and they certainly exposed us because they are exceptionally hard running football team that work really well for each other. And I think they're, for the most part, coached extremely well. And he's come in and made a really good impact at this football club. They look a really tight unit. And they're undefeated. They're one of 2 teams who are undefeated, them and Geelong. And wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't we be great to, from our point of view, to respond after a really disappointing loss last week, although it was only by 2 points. We had our opportunities and all that type of stuff. You can't shy away from the fact that that was an extremely disappointing result on our home ground, just made worse by the fact that we now are in a position where we've just got so many injuries, and it's literally scraping at the bottom of the barrel time for us and trying to find replacements. Now the team's dropped tonight, and I sort of had a look at it, and we are really like, who do we bring in, and are we even in a position, to omit players, given the fact that we are being just stretched in regards to the depth of this team. Well, I will not, and even I've had a look at our team with the players coming in. We're still going to field what I consider to be a team that should be in a position to be winning this game of football. So there's no fucking excuses from my point of view. And not only that, this injury list that we've got at the moment, guys, is a disgrace. It really is. And this, I don't think it's been this bad before, but this is a consistent thing about our football club, and our inability to get it right. And I don't want to point the finger at any one area of the football club. You just have to see this as a whole club problem that needs to be reviewed, and it needs to be fixed and sorted. Whether that's obviously, I don't know whether that can be done this year or whatever that is, but to have this many players unavailable, or 1 for your AFL team, but also 2 for your VFL team, is just not good enough for a team that should be well and truly in the window of 1, finishing top 4, top 2, and then potentially winning a grand final. The best teams are the teams that get this part of their program right. You're never going to have your full list to pick from, but the fact that we've just got this is just insane. So I will not be using this as an excuse, because this is a club problem. This is not just luck. This is something we just haven't been able to get right. So it must be extremely frustrating for Michael Voss to just continually look at that and go, bloody hell. So I don't know, but it's not good enough. In fact, it's a disgrace. Anyway, I'm going to park that because we've got a game to play on Saturday against the undefeated Giants. Who look, is there? I don't think there's streaks ahead of any other team in the competition. I really don't. I know they're probably a little bit sort of flavour of the month at the moment, and there's a bit of hype around them. And when you look at their team, and it's really well balanced, it does worry you. But their form line is good, obviously, because they've been winning, just like we had pre the Adelaide loss last week. But in every game they've played, they're given their opposition really good looks at certain times from a momentum point of view. And we just even go back to their last game against St Kilda. St Kilda kicked 6 unanswered goals in that last quarter to nearly steal that game. And they did it against the Suns, even against the lowly Eagles in North Melbourne. North Melbourne dominated in the second quarter on the Giants' home deck, and they faced an underdone and underprepared Collingwood in round one. So I'm not saying here their form line is misleading. I just don't sort of look at it and go, they're in super nick, like incredibly good nick, because they've won 5 games in a row and they're undefeated. I don't necessarily see it that way. In saying that, this is going to be a huge test for us, particularly defensive. We were so ordinary defensively last week, and I'm not just talking about our back line, but I'm just talking about our ability to defend the whole ground. And if we can't get that part of our game back on track this week against the Giants, this Giants team, even with some key personnel out, is capable of blowing us out of the water and having a really comfortable win. And I'm not necessarily sitting here and say it could get ugly, but they are extremely dangerous, and they call it the orange tsunami. And their runners and blokes are prepared to get on their bike and defend. They're a very good defensive team. The likes of Ash and Lockie Whitfield, they've got the ability to tear us apart. And we've lost some key personnel, and trying to replace them is problematic. So let's have a look at have a quick look at us first. And the teams will drop at 6:20 tonight. So Sard and McGovern go out. Now, I just think you're going to have to bring Lewis Young in. I really do. We'll get to that shortly. But Lewis Young comes in to replace Gov. And I think Lockie Cohen played really well in the reserves on the weekend. Had a bit of it. I think he can play tall and small. I think it's a good opportunity to come in. He's had a taste of senior football before. It's a good opportunity to come in. He's not going to be an Adam Sard, but I think it puts the onus on Jordan Boyd and also Zach Williams to really get on their bike offensively, and maybe Cohen plays a little bit more of a lockdown role, potentially rotating through a Toby Green with Nick Newman. But I think he comes in. I think there's question marks on Alex Chincotta. He looks like a like for like with Adam Sard, but he was outmanaged against in the VFL last week, so he hasn't played. I'm not quite sure the mystery associated with that at the moment, but I'd like to think that a younger player would get this opportunity in a big game at Marvel Stadium on Saturday evening. Will there be any omissions? I just did not think it worked with Mark Pittonet in the team with TDK. I just think it was so off balance and made us look really pedestrian through the middle of the ground. Sure, we were a little bit better around the clearances and stoppages, but in regards to our defensive systems and our speed and ability to defend the whole ground, it looked all out of whack. And I just don't think TDK is used enough forward of centre. I just don't think they go through him. So just to think that we can just chuck him into the forward line and think he's going to be a threat forward of centre when we channel all our ball between Harry and Charlie, I just think it's a complete waste. The Giants generally go in with one ruckman, Briggs and young Cadman pinch hit, and I'd like to see us go back to that with TDK and then Harry going into the centre bounce for maybe 3 or 4 minutes a quarter. So yeah, that's our team. They're the changes that I think will be made. The forced changes. I would like to see Jackson Binns get an opportunity. I think he wasn't at his prolific best in the VFL last week. He still had 25 touches, but he's banging the door down. I think this is a game, given the fact that we did look a little bit slow, a little bit slow to react. It's a chance to bring someone in who's got some decent run and some decent leg speed, and I think this is the time to unleash Jackson Binns. Let's have a look at the Giants. Taylor going out's big. It's big, but let's not forget that last year Sam Taylor didn't play in round 23 or 24 against us, that last game of the home and away season, and Jack Buckley did a tremendous job holding up that back line. But they work so well together. I think there's no better key defensive combination in the competition than Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley together. They're like twins. To lose one of them might disrupt them a little bit. That's what I'm hoping, because I don't necessarily see Harry Himmelberg as someone who defends really strongly. He's more of an intercept type player. So they're going to have to somehow replace Sam Taylor. They got young Lee Galea, the uncapped Lee Galea. He's 22 years of age, a Sudanese boy. He's played 2 decent games in the VFL. He appears to be the only replacement, so they would be debuting a key position player, a young key position player who's had no senior experience at this level. Or they could go with Lachlan Keith, who's the journeyman, the veteran. He didn't play in the VFL on the weekend. He's also not listed as being injured. I think his partner may have given birth to their first child or second child. So maybe that's why he missed the VFL on the weekend. But they have used him in the past, but I get the impression they may debut Lee Galea, which would be sort of, I don't know. I think it'd be a brave move to do that, when you've got the likes of Harry and Charlie running around. They get their run, as I mentioned, through Lockie Whitfield and Lockie Ash, and Connor Iden is he's just a beast. He's just a beast, and whoever is playing on Connor Iden's going to have a really tough day at the office. And not only is he really good defensively, but he's got the ability to run and carry the ball as well. Very, very strong through the midfield, even without Stephen Cornelio. He's had a really solid and consistent start to the year. He's had, 28 disposals, 30, 31, 27, and 20 before he hurt his knee on the weekend, also averaging 5 clearances. That appears really good for us, considering we've got Chera out, they've got Cornelio out, but they can bring back in Callum Ward. I suppose we brought back in Sam Walsh last week, but Callum Ward played round 1 against the Pies, hurt his AC joint, has been in rehab for a long time, came back for his first game back in the VFL on the weekend, had 33 touches, and we know what a hard nut he is. So it's a pretty bloody solid replacement and brings a lot of experience to that team. I think Kieran Briggs is ranked the 3rd best ruckman in the competition in regards to however they rate it. But I don't know, I felt like he's been beaten at times this year. But Tom Green's the one. You look at him, you look at what he brings to the table. They've got the hardworking Xavier O'Halloran, who plays on a wing, that defensive winger. And they've just got some blokes, like Josh Kelly and, the guys on the outside who are not necessarily sort of number 1 midfielders that can play roles, that can run through the middle like a Jacob Weir or a Finn Callaghan. Even young Harvey Thomas, who I've been really impressed with, gets up the ground and becomes really dangerous. But this is a team that gets a lot of their drive from half back and really thrive on the turnover game. So forward to centre, they look dangerous and really well balanced. With no, other than Toby Green, you don't look at them and go, okay, he's sort of an A-grader. But you look at what Jesse Hogan's been able to do over the last 12 months, always dangerous. Jake Riccardi always gives us headaches. He really does. You've got the young Aaron Cadman, the number 1 draft pick from the year before last, who's really coming on. He's still very light, but he's coming on and provides them with that backup in the ruck. And obviously Green, as I mentioned. But the two guys that really put the fear of life into me, the fear of death into me, are Brett Daniels and also Toby Bedford, who are lightning quick and exceptionally hardworking and dangerous on the deck, and could have day outs on us if we can't get that defensive game going, where we make it hard. We make it hard for their forwards to get into the game because we're putting a lot of pressure further up the field. I won't be using, as I mentioned, I will not be using injuries as an excuse in this game because we still field a pretty bloody solid football team. But it's going to be a tough day at the office, given the fact that, this Giants team are, like us and like a lot of teams, still working on certain aspects of this game. I'm just wondering how much of an impact that loss last week had for us in regards to our confidence, and then the fact that we've lost so many troops. Have we got the ability to cover them against a quality outfit like the GWS Giants? Anyway, tell me what you think, guys. Speak soon. Hope you're well. Please, if you like these videos, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and also subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Speak soon. Take care.